Shoot, damn you.
William!
The duel was over, Lady Sarah.
Am I a cuckold?
No, sir, you are not.
The way you shot at me marks you as a loathsome cat.
Steady, Garrow. I could challenge you.
This is torment.
For now, yes, but given time.
William, there is no hope.
You are ill-prepared. Be reckless with your own life, not your client's.
Filthy murderer! Poacher!
You have trained me, but you do not own me.
If this association is no longer beneficial.
Very well.
Susanna Wagstaff is indicted for that she, on the 27th of October, in the parish of St. Clement's Danes, not having the fear of God before her eyes, but being moved and seduced by the instigation of the devil, on Francis Kutswara, composer, musician, feloniously, willfully, and with malice did make an assault, and that she, with use of a length of cord, valued 1 penny, did strangle and murder the said Francis Kutswara.
You bought brandy, porter, ham and beef with 2 shillings given to you by Mr. Kutswara.
I did.
You then returned with it to the back room at number 5 Vine Street. Was it at this point that he asked you to cut off his member?
Yes.
And you refused?
I did.
Mr. Kutswara then produced the length of cord and expressed the wish to be hanged for 5 minutes.
He said he would raise his passions.
By which he intended...
My lord, it has long been observed true at Tyburn that while in every other region of the hanged man's stretched and nerveless body the vital sparks were entirely extinguished, in those other areas, in the centrical and critical parts that Mr. Kutswara had in mind, the symptoms of life and vigour were expressly evident.
The cock was upstanding.
My lord, yes. Were you then instructed by Mr. Kutswara on how to hang him?
No. He tied himself up to the back parlour door.
He tied himself to the door handle. My lord, this must surely reduce the indictment, which is already very unsteady in its foundation, from murder to manslaughter.
My lord, how unsteady?
Meaning what by that?
My lord, I am mindful of the hour. Perhaps a few moments in camera might hasten my lord's dinner.
Very well. Mr. Sylvester?
Joseph, do you hear me?
Mary, are the children well?
They're fine, don't worry. They kept it from me. You were moved from the tower.
Well, let us not get to you.
Oh.
Come on, Adelheid.
The petition for your release holds 1,500 names. Support stays strong from the north.
Still no news of a date to face the court.
Go on, that's enough.
I should not have put you through this, Mary.
The Sayre case must be put before the Prime Minister himself.
The point of law is surely assistance to suicide, itself a criminal act, must make this woman also culpable.
My lord, this was indeed a grossly immoral act, but suicide was not the intention. And so culpability can surely not be attacked.
How may the prisoner not be culpable?
No more than were I to sell Mr. Sylvester a horse, and he seeking pleasure jumps a ditch on it and breaks his neck. Where is my culpability?
And you have a second contention?
My lord, have a fear for the moral climate should this episode catch the public's attention via the excitable press and encourage the depraved part of mankind from seeking similar indecent stimulatives.
And you'd have me do what?
I propose this charge be dismissed and suppression of this material.
My lord, I trust you to remind Mr. Garrow he does not decide what is or is not a trial.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. All records of the proceedings to be struck. None to be reproduced whatsoever. That includes you, Mr. Rawlins. Crown versus Wagstaff is dismissed. Accused is free to go.
Am I to take this as fraud, Mr. Soothouse? Or will your genius, Mr. Garrow, stand up to his self-proclaimed reputation?
Madam, I cannot speak for Mr. Garrow. We have quite recently parted our...
This bill states you as his procurer.
It does. I was. And as I have tried to
Then why will
explain,
you not show more trouble to him?
This great city is aflood with 1,000 tales of innocence, madam. At every turn I hear fresh accounts of this or that desperate husband stealing to feed his family.
You do not listen, sir. My husband was dragged from his home and put in the tower. Why? For meeting with like-minded men to exercise his freedom to speak. And now, without charge, they throw him in Newgate amongst common and principal criminals.
In which case there is nothing I might do until your husband has charges against him.
But that is my despair. Joseph is held in this limbo while his children starve and his business dies.
You have my sincere sympathies, truly. But until your husband stands before a judge, there is nothing even the great Mr. Garrow can do.
Sir, I owe you my life. I thank you.
I have my fee and you have your freedom.
But I might give you such satisfaction with a screw. Sir, some small coin for what pleasure I might give, so I can eat.
I will decline your extravagant offer. Perhaps this will suffice instead.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this was not as it may seem.
No, of course not, and we are both wealthy men, although she is more trouble than either of us.
Well, what I mean to say is, she is my client, I am not hers.
Please, don't make sport of you. Mr. Sylvester already told me of your victory today, and where I might find you.
And why do you seek me out?
Only to satisfy myself that there's no animosity between us. Nothing grown out of our differences in politics that might overcome our commonalities as men.
I hope not. Certainly none on my part.
Excellent. Then you must share in my good news.
News, sir?
Yes, I heard today from my wife. Sarah carries my child.
William.
Did you think I would despise you? Did you think that if you told me why my feelings for you could not be returned, that I would in some way think less of you, and instead thought it better to let me torment myself with all manner of speculation?
You are determined to tell me what I thought and think. I wonder, am I necessary to this conversation, or will you play both parts?
Child. I must confess that this news, brought to me by your husband, gave me an idea of your marriage other than you led me to believe.
Forgive me if I led you to any false understanding.
Leave him. We are of a common mind about this world, and although I cannot offer all a man of his position can, we will be well together. We will begin anew.
This is a madness.
Is it? Tell me that you cannot imagine a life other than the one you have, with a man who sees you and accepts you and will love you for all that you are.
For all that I am?
Yes.
And will you play father to another man's child?
Yes. Yes, truly, yes.
I cannot see this life that you paint for me.
You are an unconvincing witness, Sarah Hill.
I am no witness, and this is no trial. You have my answer.
Mr. Suithouse.
Mr. Garrow?
Please, I feel that this meeting is perhaps a little fortunate. I think that if there is a distance to make up between us, the journey is largely mine to make.
Largely?
Entirely mine to make. I feel an undoubted and dispiriting absence since our dispute. And if I have tested your patience by my enthusiasm for the irregular execution of my trade and of my life, it causes me regret.
Regret? That is as far as you will go on this journey.
How far would you have me go? Please, let us put behind us
It's a great thing, isn't it? To come and go as you please.
Madam, are we familiar? Forgive me.
You're Mr. Garrow?
I am.
Madam, I told you
Then don't
clear-
let me prick at your conscience, sir. Please, block your eyes and ears to the world beyond your privilege. Enjoy your leisure.
If one of us has lost their wits, please say it's not me.
She came looking for you. I heard her out and told her there was nothing to be done. Her husband, it seems.
We are free men. When by royal proclamation our letters may be seized. Spies sent to infiltrate our most innocent meetings. When the king's own government supports those who attack us in the press. This woman's husband. For campaigning for what we all know is just. Votes. Not only for the wealthy. A fair representation in Parliament and the right to the protection of a secret ballot, which...
I told the woman that since we no longer work as attorney and barrister...
I've heard of this tale. They talk of Hamer, Joseph Hamer.
He did find himself arrested and imprisoned without charge these 3 months.
Members of the London Corresponding Society, I have words from your secretary, my husband. The law demands a prisoner be brought before the court.
Enough! Enough! As messenger for the Secretary of State, I call an end to this seditious assembly.
This is an outrage!
All these so named to be charged with breaking the peace.
You can't do this!
Benjamin Winthrop, Edward Ironside, Samuel Cuff, Mary Hamer.
What spy gave you these names?
That's enough.
Take care, sir.
Would you add your name to this list, sir?
You have to go to the magistrate and plead her case.
I will not.
All that I ask
All
is that
you ask is that I act as your puppet once more and make a nuisance of myself such as will unfriend the magistrate. But I will do you no favour. However, to help Mary Hamer, I will act according to my judgment as an attorney. And if you are sincere, you will act against your nature, recognise your limits, and stay away till I have done it.
Edward Ironside accused. What charge?
Meeting as a society to break the peace.
So charged. Robert Bodham. What charge?
Meeting as a society to break the peace.
So charged. Mary Hamer. What charge?
Intervention, sir, on behalf of Mary Hamer.
Mr. Suithouse, what objection have you?
That the charge cannot apply. This woman was present at the coffee house. But Mary Hamer, the records will show, is not a member of the corresponding society.
And you contend what?
That she was no more than a bystander to this meeting. As was I.
Mary Hamer, are you a member of the society?
No, sir. Not signed. I will not be treated other than all these arrested.
That will not be yours to decide. Mary Hamer dismissed. Next.
Charles Lynham. Lynham is a member, sir.
He may be, but his name, I think, is missing here.
On which grounds he is also entitled to be dismissed.
Mr. Soothouse, if you wish to play the barrister, I recommend the Bailey.
Mr. Garrow.
Mr. Soothouse.
Mr. Lynham, Mrs. Hamer.
It seems you have done well.
Though I fear my performance will not fill the newspapers.
Here is proof an attorney works best when allowed to do his job. And now I must do mine. Madam, we shall go to Newgate and speak with your husband.
Joseph! Joseph! Joseph, this is Mr. Garrow.
I have little faith in the law. All I want from you is to give me the chance to say my piece in court. I'm resigned to what will come.
And I will be plain. If I let you speak your mind, you will put a noose around your own neck. And I think your wife would prefer you a little less resigned.
Joseph, Mr. Garrow is a fine barrister.
I have no doubt, but this is a matter of politics, not law. If news comes that the King exiles his government and wants me as Prime Minister, then I will show you some optimism.
And I will be first in line to vote for you. But be sure that my own optimism is not born out of ignorance. You see, your case, Joseph, is played out in the shadow of the guillotine. They fear you. Tom Paine, the American revolutionary, published The Rights of Man. He was tried in his absence for sedition. Prosecution had no need to rebut the arguments. The jury decided Paine guilty. John Frost, when drunk, was heard to cry out equality and no king. Tried for sedition, found guilty. The game, Mr. Hamer, is tilted against us.
And yet still you would take up my cause?
I would. I feel that when two souls are of common mind, they should work together.
And are we two such souls?
I believe we are both fleas in the ear of the same horse.
Will you not accept that when the laws that we now examine were first coined, we did not face such modern perils as we do now from the likes of Joseph Hamer that threaten our security as a nation?
But, Secretary of State, this idea that the looming threat almost upon us is surely old news.
I did find the Secretary of State's argument quite persuasive, sir.
But we must show a healthy caution. By us forcing through these laws that allow imprisonment without charge will only bring us more trouble.
Shall we have another show of hands, gentlemen, against the recommendations of Parliament? Let the record show 3 against and 4.
I believe there is no option for abstention, Sir Arthur.
Recall, Sir Arthur, that those for and against must be recorded, and that the names will be put before the Prime Minister.
4. The recommendation is carried.
Go back for more punishment, Mr. Sibley. I'll give you the advantage of 3 pieces that... Where did they take me? Is it the gallows? Oh, for pity's sake, tell me! Promise me you'll get word to my wife. Sirs, you must forgive my wretched appearance.
You are here to answer questions relating to the London Corresponding Society concerning anti-parliamentary plans to bring down the king.
I know of no such plans. I make shoes. I see some of my best work in this room. And I see you, sir. Are you not Member of Parliament for the rotten borough of Bramber, West Sussex?
You are here to answer questions,
A borough of not 3 houses, yet it sends 2 members to Westminster, while the town of Manchester...
Sir, be aware that these are the men who will decide what charge you face.
The town of Manchester, home to above 60,000, cannot send 1.
Here is a letter addressed to Thomas Paine, the radical, a convicted seditionary. You admit that you wrote it?
I wrote to Thomas Paine, the philosopher and man of principle.
I wish to ask about the proposed convention of members. A gathering of...
And I ask you a famous question. By what lawful authority do you bring me here?
God's save! Who is this man?
Joseph Hamer, madam.
Take him out. Sarah, it is not the moment for this.
You think I haven't read what's happening in the newspapers?
These desperate times call for serious deliberation.
Assure me that you have spoken on the side of reason and not in support of this witch hunt.
Charles. Tell me, I must know. Please.
Joseph is to be charged and tried.
Forgive me. It's what we wanted. But now I fear what will come. What charge?
That we will not know until the indictment is read. But we expect either the publishing of libelous materials or sedition.
Sedition?
Mr. Sudhouse, having spent hours in his books, has found nothing in its support.
We are well prepared, Mary. We will win.
May I introduce my wife, Sir John? Sir. This is Sir John Scott, the Attorney General.
Lady Sarah, I see you have the modern woman's habit. A romance, perhaps?
The Mysteries of Adelpho, a tale of castles and night horrors. Although I do hope its content is not seditious, Sir John.
Sir John is to lead the prosecution.
Your opponent is Mr. Garrow.
It is. I understand he has unorthodox methods, but a fragile grip on the law. But we must not keep this Billingsgate man waiting.
Ladies, you would do well not to underestimate Mr. Garrow. He has a devilish skill in digging out a witness.
Sarah, I must have your assurance you will be civil to our guest.
And I must have yours. That all this is about principle and about the law.
It is a matter of politics. It's just politics.
I trust you know that if you lose this, you will be reduced to defending cattle thieves in the provinces.
Here to witness my fall.
To wish you luck. I hear all the best legal minds are ranked against you.
It is appreciated.
I said, all the best legal minds.
Be upstanding in court. The prisoner, Joseph Hamer, being a subject of the king, not having the fear of God in his heart, but being moved and seduced by the instigation of the devil, did contrive, in concert with other persons, to disturb the peace of the kingdom, to subvert the government, to depose the king by force of arms, and to put him to death. The indictment records the charge against the prisoner to be high treason.
Treason?
Surely he can be hanged in that charge.
They will not get opportunity, Mary.
A guilty verdict brings the noose, does it not? He would be hanged.
Hanged, drawn, and quartered.
Gentlemen of the jury, I will show here by evidence that this man and others with him did plot to undermine Parliament, did arm themselves to make that intention manifest, and that the express aim was to extinguish the monarchy and declare this nation a republic. I will describe plans uncovered to summon a great convention of its members, a convention that sought, by its number and its ferocity, to overawe Parliament at the very moment it made its demands. The threat behind a refusal to meet with these demands was armed rebellion, war against the king, high treason. The Constitution is so interwoven with the state that it cannot be separated. Once again, the 25th Act of Edward III states, "To compass or imagine the death of the king is held to be rebellious conspiracy." I also shall call upon many witnesses who were employed by government to infiltrate these so-called friendly societies.
So now we are a nation of spies.
Prisoner will keep his tongue.
These men were determined to meet, to plot the undermining of the authority of Parliament. I have gone through this awful business as well as I am able. I am grateful for the court's patience. I trust you will now do that which is your duty. Pronounce a guilty verdict. God send the prisoner a good deliverance.
Expected everyone in this court was with you, Mr. Scott, until they heard your argument. My lord, gentlemen, the law says that proof of treason must stand out, be established on manifest facts, not conjecture, inferences, or strains of wit. I swear, I never saw a case in which such complicated facts were drawn out as makes necessary a speech of 3 hours. 3 hours. Does that not tell us a great truth? That there was no treason?
Mr. Garrow, does the defence have no more?
I ask only that we adjourn, if only from pity for the jury's backsides.
Court adjourns.
Court shall rise.
Are they so hungry to hang my husband they make up high treason? How do they call it that?
They reach back 400 years and twist a law to their particular use.
The prosecution wishes to call the planned convention an armed insurrection.
There was no insurrection. But that will be their attack. And we will build a case that will defeat it
no matter what they throw at us.
This letter is signed to my dear friend Joseph Hamer. Sincerity, Maurice Margarot, a convicted seditionist. As you will hear, it describes plans for an assembly of thousands in Suffolk, across the bridge from Westminster. This is not true.
Mr. Garrow, you will have your client quiet.
I will, my lord, although I share his frustration.
Or see him removed.
One document after another to be read out in full to the court. Letters, reports on meetings in coffee houses and taverns across London.
The defense will have chance to argue when the prosecution has...
Each one tells of what some Tom has said to Dick on the subject of some other Harry. Nowhere do I see connection made to the innocent at the bar. Excepting he also has 2 legs and 2 arms. I object to this material being read unless it can be shown that Mr. Hamer knew the content of it.
What is declared by conspirators is evidence against those that are present as well as those that are not.
Oh, my lord, surely not, or where will this end? There are those in the gallery ready to give their view of this fine man. Is that not evidence?
The law is clear. I will educate my gentleman opposite if he wishes.
This morning's Times suggests that Mr. Scott was less than succinct in his presentation. Is that evidence?
Mr. Garrow will have his fun, but it does not mask his ignorance of the law. A failing his client may not live to regret.
If the law calls this material evidence, then it is the law that is ignorant.
I believe there is Mr. Garrow's argument. I ask my lord to make a ruling on the matter.
This letter, and others like it, shall stand as evidence.
Perhaps my lord feels that 6 on the other side is not enough. Perhaps he would add himself as one more.
Mr. Garrow!
My lord, I humble myself. My passions are the better of me. It shall not happen again.
And at this meeting in Silk Street, Mr. Thorogood, a transcript of which we have heard, item 19, a proposal for the manufacture and distribution of arms was made by Mr. Scotney of Snow Hill?
It was. I was also present when King's messengers searched the workshop of Mr. Scotney, and there were found some 15 pikes.
And these 15 long pikes were hidden?
They were.
No further questions.
15 pikes. All the agencies of government set to the task, and what do they find? 15 pikes.
They are weapons.
They are. But weapons enough to defeat the whole of the king's army? Where are the rest?
I believe more to be still hidden.
You believe? You must not believe anything, sir. You overstep your part. I fear this is more of Mr. Scott's so-called evidence. Again, I ask, where is the crime?
We lose ground. Garrow proves himself a dangerous creature.
The case is still strong.
We must act to stop further damage.
I believe the verdict can yet be won.
By Sir John Scott? I think not. We must do what is necessary to keep our support. Sir John, another fine performance in court today.
Thank you. It goes well, I think.
When Father comes home again, he's going to want to know you're both good children.
I have authority to search this place.
What? Why? Why are you doing this? No! Not the children!
Do not obstruct my men in their duties.
Why are you doing this? Why? Whatever it is you think you're going to find...
It is this.
The message was just that we meet them here.
And that they wish to discuss a matter.
Is it too much to speculate that Mr. Scott intends to surrender?
Sirs, there's been a development.
Prompted by new-gained intelligence, the Secretary of State ordered Joseph Hamer's home searched once more.
A bill of sale for 100 muskets was found.
A witness, William Oakes, has come forward to testify that he sold 100 muskets to Mr. Hamer.
And that they lie stored in a warehouse in Cheapside.
You no longer mock me, Mr. Garrow. Now your case is holed beneath the waterline. But the King has no intention of hanging every member of the London Corresponding Society.
Instruct your client to change his plea to guilty. If he does that, he will hang, and the rest of the Corresponding Society committee facing trial will also hang if found guilty.
But a further 800 men, on whom warrants have already been drawn up, will face only charges of sedition and not high treason.
If found guilty, they will not hang.
Joseph Hamer cannot save himself, but he may save his army of followers. Advise your client.
"100 muskets? And you think I would have kept such a thing from you if it were true?
You say it's false.
More than false, treacherous!
I have a witness who will swear to the sale of 100 muskets.
You think them beyond manufacture of this witness?
Both Mary and Charles Lynham saw a bill of sale retrieved from the strongbox.
How can you ask me to do this? If I change my plea to guilty, everything was for naught. They will have beaten us by duplicity.
I did not come for that. I came to know the truth of your society's intentions, to know whether or not there was a plan. Makeshift or not, theoretic or not, absurd or not. To arm yourself against the King and the King's Parliament.
None.
Beyond any doubt that a jury might be made to swallow.
None.
The lives of many men are at stake here, Joseph.
More than that, sir. There is more at stake than that.
And I hear the fellow Washington's been elected Mr. President a second time. 100% of the vote, all 13 states. Something crooked there, eh?
I understand he declined the salary came with it. Some 20,000.
Which makes him a crook and a fool.
But did accept it when pressed.
There you have it. The man's a crook, a fool, and a hypocrite.
I must say, gentlemen, I'm surprised to find you all in such high spirits. I understand the press don't share your optimism for the outcome of this trial.
Madam, the press will sell you half the story as if it were the whole tale. That is their trade.
And the whole story is what?
Oh, I'm afraid even our hostess will have to wait for that until it comes out in court tomorrow.
And not even then.
Your husband makes comment on the difficulty of knowing the whole truth in the heart of a man like Joseph Hamer.
Fine bird, Hill.
Oh, indeed.
Indeed. Delicious.
Thank you.
100 muskets.
I tell you that because of another thing passed to me by Scott and Sylvester. Now help me with this, and you will have the full account of the trial for your paper.
In your own words?
In my own words.
Agreed.
There are warrants already made out on 800 men named as treasonous citizens.
800?
These warrants will be exercised if Hamer is found guilty. I need to know who those citizens are.
I have sources in Parliament who might help.
Drink when the errand is done. There is no time. I need those names now.
How long will this continue? If you will not speak to me, at least I should be allowed to know why.
As your husband, I demand that you talk to me!
I will not speak with you until you decide you will deal with me honestly.
Honestly, on what matter?
There is intrigue surrounding the trial of Joseph Hamer, and it has been manufactured in this house.
I cannot discuss that.
Please. I know your part in this is poisoning you. Tell me of it. What have you to gain from affecting this trial? Is it to injure William Garrow?
To hell with Garrow. All roads do not lead to his door.
Then what?
Everything that I have built, I stand to lose. If men like Joseph Hamer get their way, they would reform the boroughs. I would lose my seat, my influence.
Arthur, what have you done?
Even if I tried, I could not stop them.
Please, please tell me.
I am in danger of losing all I have.
You are in danger of losing your wife.
We will not change our plea. Our aim is to control the damage this new evidence will cause.
And what of the witness Oakes, who claims he sold Hamer muskets?
We will undermine his testimony. Do all we can to support the character of Joseph Hamer. We will call witnesses, Mr. Lynham among them, who will say again and again that armed uprising was never in his mind.
Tell the court, Mr. Oakes, when you met the prisoner, Joseph Hamer, on that day, it was to complete a transaction. A sale of goods. Tell us, what goods?
A sale of muskets, sir. 100 muskets.
All of this is lies.
No more questions.
Mr. Oakes, did Mr. Hamer's wife or any of his friends ever meet you over the course of your supposed business with him?
They did not. Mr. Hamer made particular point as I should not, and that the business should be of a secret nature.
So we are to take your word against Mr. Hamer's that this business happened at all?
The bill of sale lies there for all to see, sir.
No further questions. And did you, Mr. Lynham, in all the time spent with Joseph Hamer, ever see him strike a man?
I did not.
Threaten to strike someone or propose violence of any kind?
No.
Were you present at every meeting of the London Corresponding Society?
No, not all.
So you cannot say that the arming of the society was not discussed, can
The
you?
only discussions were the self-defense of the members.
So the society did discuss weapons.
By which I mean the 15 pikes already spoken of. They're such an example.
I will leave the court to wonder how many other muskets, pikes, and such examples were gathered.
Mr. Lynham! Mr. Lynham! This self-defense you spoke of, was it a defense against those violent groups who made it a habit to disrupt the peaceable meetings of the society?
Yes, exactly. There was a lot of anger amongst the members on that count.
But not anger sufficient to change the law-abiding nature of the society.
No, sir.
My lord, with your indulgence.
Yes, yes, yes. Mr. Garrow.
Mr. Lynham, we have heard much of a bill of sale found in Joseph Hamer's home.
Yes.
How do you imagine the Secretary of State's men knew where to find it?
I don't know. They seem to search all of the room.
And yet, within 2 minutes, they came upon a hidden strongbox. Why was that? The answer to this vexing question comes in 3 parts. does it not? Firstly, that Mr. Oakes, the salesman witness, was a fraud, a paid witness.
My lord!
And secondly, that the bill of sale is also a fake, isn't it, Mr. Lyman?
My lord, I hope we are going to hear testimony to support this nonsense.
Finally, that the man who planted it in Joseph Hamer's home was a spy working in the employ of the government. A spy claiming to be Joseph Hamer's true friend, but betrayed him. The man is you, Charles Lynham.
No, Charles, not you.
Call an adjournment.
Court shall rise.
Lady Sarah.
I find I am indebted to you. Again.
You need not thank me, Will. We wish the same outcome.
But you cannot be so outspoken.
Not in all my passions, no, but I can at least act on them.
Well, for Joseph Hamer, it is his good fortune.
I have followed your career with immense interest, Mr. Garrow. I am pleased we meet finally without the bench between us.
My lord.
Your many sharp-witted performances, your obvious hunger for reforms, all have brought you deserved acclaim.
Thank you, sir.
As Secretary of State for the Home Division, I have want of a robust judiciary. I have a post in mind for you, Mr. Garrow.
I enjoy my current position quite well, sir. Thank you.
Enjoy the constraints placed upon you? For the first time, and only in this trial, you are permitted to address the jury. Does that not give you appetite for more?
It is the rule for a barrister such as myself.
Would you not prefer King's counsel on the side of the prosecution? I fear you think yourself dreaming. Pinch me. I am real, sir.
This sweetmeat that I am offered, what price am I to pay for it? I will not desert my client and let him swing.
Please do me some justice, William. The jury will decide Mr. Hamer's fate. The subject discussed is your future. And as King's counsel, you will have the ear of the most powerful in government, none better placed to oversee reforms. I appreciate you will have need to consider. And so, I wait respectfully on your answer. Yes, I will endeavour to arrange a meeting with the Prime Minister at as early as possible.
Thank you, sir.
Lady Hill, Sir Arthur, I was beginning to fear you might miss the final act.
We are intent on enjoying it together.
In spite of Mr. Lynham's difficulties in court yesterday, I think we shall see Mr. Garrow today possess his own.
You mean...
I have offered Mr. Garrow King's counsel. So, now we will see what a man might do for principle and what for glory.
And the witness, Mr. Lynham, let us not forget, was investigating high treason. And Mr. Lynham, like all the witnesses called, is a man of courage, of principle. A man...
Despising his friends.
A man who put the security of his country before his own safety. Gentlemen, now comes your judgment. The object of every verdict is that the country sees public justice take its fair course. I trust this task in your hands.
My lords, gentlemen of the jury. Many say of this trial that government oversteps its role in the lives of its citizens.
Mr. Garrow, are you ill?
No. The answer is no. I fear something sticks in my throat.
Mr. Garrow.
Mr. Garrow, are you revived?
I am, my lord. Gentlemen of the jury, when we speak of liberty, we speak of the liberty of thought and speech and action that every Englishman was born with. It is not a thing granted to him by the king and his councillors, and so not to be taken from him by those councillors. It must never be taken from him. Be aware of the role this trial will play in the history of our nation. Be aware that if prosecution have their way, each one of you will be seen as criminal first, citizen second. Be aware that powers ceded to government in times of fear are rarely removed from statute. The power of the government to arrest and imprison a man without charge. This removal of his right to know what he is accused of, if it achieves its aim today, be sure it will stay. Be aware that if this imperfect trial finds this man guilty, 800 more will be given the same unjust treatment. 800 whose names are on this list.
My lord, I must object to this and demand Mr. Garrow reveal where he obtained this secret document.
It is of no matter, my lord. Although it is good fortune for the government and its secret committees that it fell into my safe hands. 800 warrants for the arrest of innocent men, assumed to be guilty. Some of those names are in this court today. I see names here of those in the public gallery. Names of others on the lawyer's bench. I even see my own name among them. There is even the name of one sat before me in the jury. Be aware that if you send this man to the gallows today, you should be prepared to follow him tomorrow. I trust in God you will give your verdict of acquittal for the prisoner.
Jurymen, consider your verdict.
You have reached a verdict?
We have.
How do you find the prisoner? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
My fellow Englishmen.
Prisoner must be discharged.
Rise!
You wish to change the law. Well, you have made a mortal enemy of the Attorney General, so there is some progress.
I no longer make an enemy of you, at least.
Of course not. I fear you shall find trouble enough.
We shall find it, Mr. Sudhouse. We.
That was the last in the series. Now tonight on BBC HD, a stunning setting for a staggering achievement. Ray Mears remembers map maker David Thompson in the Northern Wilderness next.